iCommunity shines a light on the wide array of community news, arts and culture, and prolific charity efforts within the Asian diaspora networks. It's where the global Indian impact on the ground is celebrated. Log on at iglobalnews.com. Hello and a very warm welcome to today's session of the Living Bridge Conversations, the live series brought to you by iGlobal, your multimedia hub for and about global Indians. First things first, from us all here at iGlobal, we'd like to wish you a very happy Guru Nanak Jayanti. And as some of you may well know, that Guru Nanak was the founder of the Sikh religion, which is a very auspicious day indeed. So from us all here at iGlobal, wishing you a very happy Guru Nanak Jayanti wherever you are in the world watching this. Now, I'm Tony Patty, your host for today, and I'm joined by Dr. Ramesh Pattni, OBE, a scholar and teacher of Hinduism, as well as a practicing psychologist. Dr. Pattni completed his doctoral thesis at the University of Oxford, Faculty of Theology in Yoga Psychology. He's been teaching Hinduism since the 1990s and has a particular interest in the psychological and philosophical aspects of Advaita Vedanta, a practical and, well, in a way, practical applications of its non-dualist approach. We're going to be finding out more from Dr. Ramesh Pattni in just a moment. Hello, Dr. Ramesh Pattni. A very warm welcome to you, and thank you for joining us here on the show today.
Namaste, Tony. Good to see you again. And I wish you a very happy Guru Nanak Jayanti as well.
Thank you.
It's a tremendous, auspicious day today.
It is indeed. Thank you very much, Lee, for sharing your kind thoughts with us. We've spoken before on previous podcasts at iGlobal, so we're well known to each other. But for the benefit of our viewers and listeners today on these Living Bridge Conversations, it's the first one we're doing in this form. So it's quite a treat for us to have you on board in this way. We welcome you. And a quick word for our viewers. This show is yours too. And we'd love you to participate and take part in the show as well. So do drop us your comments and questions, no matter what they are, because we'd be very happy to answer those for you. And we'll pick them up as we go along during the course of this show for you right here. Compliments of iGlobal. So Dr. Ramesh Pattni, OBE, it's really good to have you along. And once again, a warm welcome to you. We're going to be talking today about Advaita Vedanta and how it actually relates to our lives. Tell us a little bit about a background about that and give us an introduction to Advaita Vedanta.
Thank you, Tony. So Advaita Vedanta really is a tradition within Hindu philosophy, Hindu practice. And it has got one central precept, one principle, which says there is only one reality, which is the ultimate reality. And we are kind of functioning within this creation in relationship to that ultimate reality. It is also called the science of happiness and how to achieve ultimate balance, harmony, and happiness in your life through the practices of Advaita Vedanta. And it says something very interesting. It says that we are making fundamental mistake about ourselves. We are making this error about ourselves that we are this individual, limited, unfulfilled person, and who is looking for happiness all over the place. Unfortunately, in the wrong place. We are looking for happiness in the wrong place. And what it says is true happiness actually comes from within. It comes from your real self. It comes from that ultimate reality. It is this mass of bliss which you yourself are, and it is one reality of existence and consciousness. And in order to get there, to get to your real self, you need the practices of Advaita Vedanta. And in order to get this and realize it, there are techniques which are available. And this is the principle and practice of Advaita Vedanta.
We're going to be exploring some of those techniques with you today. But one thing that comes to my mind, Dr. Ramesh, is that we lead such busy, complex lifestyles. And we don't know how to take time out for ourselves to find that happiness from within that you speak about today.
hmm Yeah, I mean, but it doesn't, we are not trying to distinguish between, okay, there's a part of my life where I have to go within and look for my happiness. In
Mm,
fact, what Vedanta says, you can find it here and now, in this moment, in your lived experience. You don't have to kind of go and sit down in a certain place and close your eyes and meditate. Okay, of course, that is one means of doing that. But
yes.
what Vedanta says is that a certain way in which you train your mind, discipline your mind, function your mind in such a way in
Mm.
relationship to the outside world, you can find balance and happiness right here, right this moment.
I see. We are talking with Dr. Ramesh Pattni today, and we're talking about the aspects of psychological well being. And we're talking about Advaita Vedanta. Whether or not you've heard of it before or not is by the by, but you'll certainly be learning more about it today with us as we learn more about the techniques of Advaita Vedanta from Dr. Ramesh Pattni today. Spiritually, contribution to psychological well being, Dr. Ramesh, is one thing, but achieving it and finding it is another. How do we go about the contribution to psychological well-being through spirituality? How do we go about finding out all about that?
Yes, Tony, and I think that's a good question because we want to first of all understand what do we mean by psychological well-being, right?
Yes.
And in this case, psychological well-being is about two things. Number one, it is about feeling good about yourself and about the world.
Yeah.
Okay, and number two, it is to be able to function effectively. So you're feeling good and you're functioning effectively. Now, it doesn't mean that you're not going to feel good all the time. There will be some
No.
pain, there will be some painful emotion, there'll be grief, there'll be disappointment, failure. This is normal part of all our lives, right? But how do we actually manage this for our long-term well-being?
Hmm.
That is the question. Therefore, we need to think about what does it mean to feel good and how am I going to get that in terms of where I am and what I'm actually experiencing myself. So feeling good is two things. One is that it is about the positive emotions of happiness, contentment, but also, secondly, it is about having interest, having some
Yeah.
passion in your life, having this confidence in your life, having affection for yourself and other people as well. So that's one part of it. The other part is that you need to be functioning effectively in a psychological sense in your life, and therefore that means first of all, developing your inner potential. We all have inner potential and we want to develop that, and therefore we need to function effectively in order to do that. Number two, you need to have a certain kind of control over your life and your emotions and your thoughts, and
Okay.
have a sense of purpose. See, this is something very important. In order to function well, we need
Yeah.
to have a certain purpose, which means working towards valued goals, having a certain meaning about your life, and experiencing positive relationships in our life. So, how is that going to be made possible by spirituality? So, what we mean is that spiritual practices will work on ourselves to give us these two things. That we'll begin to feel good about ourselves. At the same time, it will allow us to train the mind in such a way that we are able to function effectively in our day to day existence. That's why I'm saying spirituality comes right into the forefront, right into the moment. It's not that I'm going to go to some cave or some ashram to be able to do that. I need to do that right here, right now. And
So it
spirituality,
can be achieved anytime, anywhere, but it's
yes,
subject to our own thought patterns and feelings at the time.
at the time, and therefore we are continuously experiencing something, right? We are
Yeah.
experiencing certain feeling, certain thoughts which are coming, and what happens is that we become kind of locked up into certain patterns of thinking and feeling. And this is how we've grown up. We are developed and we're matured in such a way that all these patterns become repetitive, is that we react to life in this kind of reactive way. What we need to do is to understand that we need to create a space whereby we have, on the one hand, the freedom to do what we want with the thoughts and the feelings, but at the same time, to be able to carry out the right actions in our life. And that means
Mm.
that we have to train our thinking processes, we have to train the intellect, we have to train the mind, and we have to train our actions to be feeling good about ourselves and functioning
Indeed. Yeah.
effectively. Yeah.
Dr. Ramesh, evolution has taught us to be unhappy. We lead such busy, complex lifestyles. We're surrounded by various pressures, whether they be
Mm,
financial pressures.
mm, mm,
We are in a state of humanity whereby depression is also quite paramount amongst
mm,
a
mm,
lot of people, where the stresses and strains of life overcome those feelings of contentment and happiness that you've just spoken about.
mm, mm,
So,
mm,
addressing these feelings and looking for various ways of finding that happiness, people tend to go about doing it the wrong way, don't they? So,
mm,
I'm really interested to hear from you about setting ourselves on the right path before we
mm.
start talking about spirituality in a little bit more depth in just a moment.
Yeah, so we can think about, if we talk about psychological well-being.
Yes.
So suppose we say somebody is not in a psychological state of well-being, which means having mental health issues. So I can be very
Mm,
anxious about myself, about my life, about everything, and that anxiousness will not make me to feel good about myself, nor will I be able to function effectively. So I'm afraid of everything. I'm afraid of the outcome. I'm afraid of my action and my other people. I'm afraid of situations and things like that. On the other hand, I could be in a state of depression whereby I've lost meaning of life. I don't know what to do. Even I don't have the energy to get up in the morning. So there is a
mm.
mental, unwellness which is there. So
Yes.
there are techniques which can bring us to up to this level of psychological uh, wellness. But at the same time, we can enhance our psychological wellness even if we don't have any of these issues going on in our life. So, in other words, we can be below the line, as it were, and bring us ourselves right up to the line. But we can also enhance ourselves to get beyond that to achieve a fantastic sense of resilience and strength within ourselves, which can then manage all the changes. So what I would say is that if you have any kind of issues with your mental health,
Mm,
make sure that you actually approach some professional people, get
indeed.
professional help,
Yeah.
and then you can enhance your well-being through this kind of spiritual techniques. Okay, so it can work both ways, but you have to be careful that you don't miss out on the professional help which is available to get you to a certain point. And then we can start thinking about, okay, how am I going to use spirituality to in a sense to get well, but also in a sense to enhance my sense of well-being as well.
That's really interesting, and I like the theological side of that, the things that you've explained them to us. In terms of seeing how this works, when we think about spirituality, we are not talking about God and religious activities, are we? And you mentioned this earlier briefly. You
Mm,
touched on
mm,
this, but when
mm.
we think about spirituality, there's a different meaning and understanding to this altogether, isn't there, Dr. Ramesh?
Yes, yes. So normally we would differentiate between spirituality and religion in this way. Religion is more about a set of organized beliefs and practices which are really shared by a group or community. So if I say, okay, today is Guru Nanak Jayanti,
Mm,
congregation will come together.
mm,
There will be prayers which are being said. There
yeah.
is a shared kind of meal which we take together. And the langar which we take gives us joy and happiness on this Jayanti of Guru Nanak. See, and that is based on a certain set of beliefs, a certain set of ideas about who Guru Nanak is, how does that represent us in our life, and how we can relate to that personality, this master,
Yes.
Guru Nanak. And therefore, it is a shared way of kind of having this way. On the other hand, spirituality tends to be much more individualistic in its approach. That want to attain a certain focus in my life. I want to have a certain purpose and meaning unfolding in my life. I have a certain idea that there is something beyond myself as this individual, which is the spirit. Think about the spirit, and therefore spirituality. And there, if I believe in a spirit, which, for example, I believe in the spirit of nature, I can believe in a spirit of some connectedness which is there. So it is individualistic in that sense. It doesn't kind of prescribe to any set of beliefs, but at the same time, it holds a certain framework within my mind, which allows me to
Yes.
associate and direct my thoughts and feelings towards that, and to practice certain spiritual practices which are available, which can take me towards that spiritual destination.
I get that. I really do. And what you're actually saying to us here today is that one can open one's mind to
Mhm,
acceptance of what's
mhm,
around us in terms of
mhm,
our surroundings and
mhm,
use
mhm.
that in a spiritually fulfilling way.
Absolutely. And it gives you a purposeful way of living. It gives you a certain meaning of life. And also in terms of harmony and balance, because if you have certain kind of adjustment, which we are having through this spiritual viewpoint, this spiritual lens through which we are looking at ourselves and the world, then it allows us to have this harmony and balance within our lives as well. Say, for example, if I go out, I'm feeling not very good with myself at the moment. I go out into nature. I go into the forest. I take a walk in the woods. Immediately, when I'm surrounded by this spirit of the nature, it
Yes,
makes me feel so good because I am there in connection with nature and I'm feeling good because I've taken the spirit of the forest as something which I can connect with, which I
yes,
can relate to.
yes. I'm really understanding that, and thank you for explaining it so well to us and for us today, Dr. Ramesh Pattni. And if you have just joined us, we are talking with Dr. Ramesh Pattni, OBE, and we're talking about Advaita Vedanta and Advaita Vedanta. We talk about spiritual well-being and enhancing our lives through these different processes and learnings that and teachings that we are being informed about from Dr. Ramesh Pattni today. If you have just joined us, we thank you for joining us right here in our Living Bridge Conversations live. Compliments of iGlobal to you. Do please participate. Drop us a line, and we'd be very happy to answer your questions as we go through the show here today. And we're going to take a quick break now, and we'll be back right after this.
iGlobal Radio is the brand new hub of podcasts for and about global Indians. News, views, interviews, wellness, money matters, and much, much more. Tune in to iGlobal Radio at iglobalnews.com.
Today, and thank you for being with us. A little bit about these Living Bridge Conversations, and these are being curated by iGlobal to bring you many such discussions and deliberations, and they will include and have included many foodie recipes, musical journeys, heartwarming anecdotes, energetic fitness routines, festive fashion, and much, much more, all of which you are very much a part of. And we thank you for that. And thank you for your kind contributions and thoughts as well. So do stay tuned at the iGlobal social media channels for updates on our regular streams with an array of guests that embody the British Indian diaspora living bridge. And of course, you, our viewers, are at the heart of these conversations. So do join us and join in with your questions in the comments box, and we'll pick them up as we go along through the show. And once again, we are talking with Dr. Ramesh Pattni, OBE, today, and he joins us today as we talk about spiritual well-being. And Advaita Vedanta is the subject of discussion here today. So back to you, Dr. Ramesh Pattni. What are the specific spiritual tools that can help one to create balance and harmony, internal and external life? A complex question, and I'm sure we're going to be worthy of a complex answer. But to simplify things, spiritual tools is something that we have to adapt and learn and adjust to, which is something that you explained to us earlier, Dr. Ramesh.
That's right, Tony. And it means that, just like if I'm a carpenter, I've
Yeah.
got a set of tools. And if I use the tools in the right way, I can create a beautiful, furniture, beautiful table, chair, etc. So tools are techniques of using them with the mind and the body and the intellect. And that means that we have to consider what these tools are for. Okay. For the carpenter, it is about creating furniture. For us, the spiritual tools take us from one state of mind to another state of mind, one state of functioning of the mind to another state. So, normally, what happens is that we are in a state of agitation, we are distracted all the time. According to psychological research,
Yes.
47% of our time, of our waking time, we are completely agitated and disturbed. Imagine half your day is completely gone away because the mind is not functioning optimally. Now, I have to bring it to a point of uh, a state of mind where it has become so powerful, so single pointed, so still, so focused, so calm, and with this heightened awareness. And all these techniques are going to teach me how to do that. And from the Advaita Vedanta point of view, we have got many tools which we can use in order to have this kind of connection with ourselves and our life in harmony and balance. And if I can just tell you about, flying a plane. For example, if you're
Yeah.
flying a plane,
Yeah.
and I remember I used to, train as a pilot at one point, and I was kind of flying, and the first lesson which my instructor told me,
Yes.
fly straight, fly level, level and straight.
That's right.
And this
Yes.
is what we need to be able to do with our mind, to fly in a direction and to be maintain a stability, integrity, and a balance in the mind. Okay.
Wonderful. Yes. Yeah.
And if we think about how that is going to happen, the spiritual tools are going to bring the mind again and again into the straight and level. Suppose now the weather has turned very bad, and all of a sudden my plane starts going this way, that way, that way. What do? I have to control the plane to bring it straight and level, and
Correct.
to go through the storm, and then to pass the storm, and again keep on going in the direction in which I want to.
Yes.
This is going to be done by training the mind through this kind of spiritual techniques, and there are many of them. Let me give you one example.
Mm.
The it is called discernment, viveka. And this is a way of training the mind to recognize what is the right way of thinking, the right thinking. Okay. And thinking will be within the context of my meaning, which I have, the purpose which I have, and the values which I have. So I got a set of values. See, Guru Nanak Ji taught us many values, right? In terms of how you should behave in your life. And
Mm.
these are things which we hold in value. And these values, which we then take it and we think about it and we get clarity about ourselves and the world around us through this kind of reframing of our experience again and again through this technique of discernment. And when you become alert, we could become aware that something is going wrong with my thinking process. You have got this tool which is going to guide you towards the right thinking. Okay. Sometimes we
Mm.
can become very agitated and obsessive about a certain pattern of thinking. We need to get out of it. This tool allows you to do that. It kind of brings you back to a state of alertness, detecting what is going wrong,
Focus.
distortion, which is
Focus.
create
Yeah.
focus, absolutely.
Yeah.
And therefore, knowing what is the right thing to do, what is the true thing to do, what is the good thing to do. Three things. And
Mm.
just one simple tool can allow us to shape our thoughts in such a way that it makes us to not only feel good, but also make the right choices, to make the appropriate choices at any particular time.
That's really
And
well explained, and I knew the answer was going to be complex, but also I didn't realize how understandable you were going to make it today, Dr. Ramesh. And to reiterate what you're saying there, whether you pick up the Bhagavad Gita or the Granth Sahib or
Mhm.
any religious scriptures, that is exactly what they teach us.
Mhm.
That's exactly what they show us. But through evolution, we've actually kind of like learned to disobey them, if that's perhaps the right
Mhm.
expression and word to use.
Mhm. Yes, and in fact, some of these, techniques and tools are given in the Bhagavad Gita in the Guru Granth Sahib, and
Yes.
what has happened is that there is a knowledge gap which has come about over generations.
Mm. Yeah. It's
And people have got lost the connection with that. People think religion, I want to stay away from there. I don't want to know anything about it. But actually, it has got such wonderful techniques which are there, spiritual techniques which can allow me to live well. In other words, that we are talking about spiritual outcome, a spiritual objective. But
yes.
while I'm moving to that, it can give me enormous psychological benefit. Psychological well being can come through some of
Yeah.
these techniques which we can use. And another example is, dispassion. Dispassion doesn't mean that I lose every passion about myself, but it means that I learn how to deal with my likes and dislikes. See how
Yes.
likes and dislikes can
Yeah.
keep on taking us up and down,
They do,
right?
and they also hinder thought as well. I really
That's
do
right.
get that. That's right.
That's right. So,
Specifically, Dr. Ramesh, the outcomes of using these spiritual tools that you describe through
mhm,
Advaita Vedanta
mhm,
today, the outcomes is something quite extraordinary,
mhm,
something which is beyond even belief sometimes, but nonetheless,
mm.
the results and the gratifying feeling of knowing that you've used these spiritual tools to your advantage are quite incredible, aren't they? Tell us about those.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely incredible if you're willing to put in the time and the effort to, practice some of these things. And
Yeah.
there is opportunity every moment. So, for example, we talked about focus, right? Intense sense of concentration. This mind, which is a monkey mind, going
Mm.
all over the place, it is able to concentrate. It is able to become single-pointed. There is heightened awareness of whatever is going on around you. Creativity, high state of absorption, you are able to have this contentment, peace, and joy within your life. And also, in a sense, that you're happier, more balanced. You
Mm.
become more resilient with this inner strength which begins to develop. And you become determined in your life, in your actions. You become well adjusted, integrated, balanced person just by using these tools which spirituality has given us. And, the masters have tried it for millions of years, right? Thousands of years, hundreds of years. It has been tried and tested. So we can't say, no, no, it is a new product, and I want to kind of test it out. It's not like
Yes.
that. It means that,
But they were Dr. Ramesh, but they were disciplined, weren't they? There's a lot of discipline
yes,
around this.
yes.
Mm.
But unfortunately, what has happened is we want quick results, Tony. We
Yeah.
want to, we want to get quick results. We don't want to make the effort. But imagine that, we get to where we are by hard work, resilience, by having this determined effort in our life, whereby we have a focus, we have a meaning, we have a purpose which guides our lives in a certain direction. Now, we are not going to get there without any kind of effort, right? So why not make the effort to train ourselves in the mind, in the intellect, in terms of our actions which we are doing through the use of these spiritual techniques? And once you are able to do that, I'm telling you, it's a tremendous benefit, not only to yourself but also to your family, to your relations, to your
I was
relationship.
going to say your surroundings are affected by your well-being and
Absolutely.
happiness as well.
Yes.
You know what's really
Mm,
interesting, Dr. Ramesh, is that in pursuit of happiness, we as human beings tend to take to different forms of
yes,
a temporary fix. I'm not
exactly.
going to go into too much detail about that, but you know exactly what I mean. And I'm sure
Yes,
our viewers know exactly what I mean by that. We go into a temporary fix, and that measure of happiness is only a small one, but we think for that small moment in time, it's going to affect the long term aspects of how we think and feel in terms of happiness. What do you say about that?
no, absolutely good point,
Mm.
Tony, that, we tend to look for short term fixes.
Yes.
It is like if you go to the doctor and you say you've got a headache, here, take some paracetamol. That will
Mm.
cure your headache. In fact, you may be having some underlying thing which you are not treating. So treating the symptoms is different from treating the
Yeah.
disease.
Yeah.
What spirituality does for us is to treat the disease, which is how the mind is functioning. You are using this wonderful machinery of the mind in the wrong way. You need to fix that. And fixing that will give you long term benefits. You can enjoy your life right up to the last breath of your life. And this is what we need to kind of think about. There is no gain without any pain.
True. Yes.
So if I want to gain this particular, machinery of the mind, which is functioning so well, making me feel so good, then I have to put the effort in. I have to put that pain in the discipline of the mind. This is what our Guru Nanak ji has said also, is that, you
Yes.
have to do seva. You have to work hard at yourself in your
That's right.
life and determined way of purposeful living, which only comes with discipline, which only comes with hard work. And therefore, it will take us to that kind of way in which we experience well being, psychological well being, taking us to our spiritual destination.
And it also goes without saying, of course, that there's a certain person that we know by the name of Dr. Ramesh Pattni who can also guide us on that journey as well.
Surely, yes. This is why we are here talking about this, and
I pay compliment. I pay compliment to you, sir. I pay compliment to you.
I'm grateful to you, Tony.
No, but it comes from the heart. Your message for our viewers on the optimal use of spiritual tools, apart from what we've already seen and learnt from you today, Dr. Ramesh Pattni, what is your message for viewers on the use of spiritual tools?
So I would say, again, it's very simple. Learn about them, first of all, okay? And then see what they are. See how they apply to your life. Number two, think about what it means to you to be using these tools. Learn how to use them as well. Okay?
Yeah.
And thirdly, put it in a determined practice every day and bring them again and again to your mind, saying, okay, this is the moment I need to use my discernment. I need to use my dispassion at this moment. I need to bring this tool because my mind needs to be adjusted in this kind of way. I need a screwdriver. I need a hammer. So
Yes.
in this way, all the tools are there for you, provided by the scriptures, provided by the spiritual masters. And only thing is to get those tools, learn how to use them, and then use them.
That's and I was going to take a cliche from that, and that is practice makes perfect.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. You're right.
That's wonderful. We'll take a short break, and we will be concluding the show very soon. If you have any comments to make or questions to ask, please feel free to do so right here on the Living Bridge Conversations, compliments of iGlobal. Back after this.
iEntertainment is brought to you by iGlobal for all the latest film and series reviews, starry interviews and cinema listings covering Bollywood and beyond to reflect a truly pan-Indian entertainment spectrum. Check out the latest at iGlobalnews.com.
And so as we head towards the end of our show, which I was enjoying so much in my discussion with Dr. Ramesh Pattni, and let me tell you that we've done many a podcast together and will continue to be doing those. And if you want to hear more about that, then don't forget to head over to the iGlobalnews.com website for more. So as we get ready to wrap the show up and look at the way things are going so far, we thank you for joining us here today. Dr. Ramesh Pattni, OBE, you are a scholar and teacher of Hinduism, as well as a practicing psychologist. We thank you so much, Dr. Ramesh Pattni, for taking time out from your busy schedule and joining us here for the iGlobal Living Bridge Conversations. What is your message for us today?
My message is, Happy Guru Nanak Jayanti. Take your focus towards that, learn about the spiritual tools, and be happy. And learn how to be happy without depending on so much on external things. Look for that fountain of happiness within yourself.
Beautiful words. And so that's the end of today's show, sadly. But remember, you can also play back any of the past sessions that we've had under the videos section of iGlobalnews.com. And you can also go to our Facebook and YouTube channels as well. They're there for you. Please use them. And for more Living Bridge Conversations, stay tuned at iGlobalnews.com. And meanwhile, let me just remind you, don't forget to give us your feedback and comments and questions and also your entries. This is exciting. Your entries for the iGlobal Diwali photography and essay competition. And here's the website address. It's info, or email address even, info@iglobalnews.com. I'll give that to you one more time, info@iglobalnews.com. So until next time, from me, Tony Patty, and Dr. Ramesh Pattni, we wish you well. Thank you for joining us here today on the Living Bridge Conversations. Compliments of iGlobal. We thank you. Have yourselves a great day and a fantastic weekend ahead. Bye-bye for now.